Hi, and welcome back to Stream of Consciousness, everybody. I am Joey Coin Flip Stout, and this is Joel Glovebox Cox. And what are we talking about today, Joel?
Let's talk about daylight savings time.
You know what? We've talked about this before. I hate with a passion daylight savings time. This is officially it was last night. It happened last night. I get an extra hour of sleep, so I'm cool about that. Although, you know what? I just woke up whenever I wanted to anyways because I had the day off. But officially, this is like the moment that I start hating life. Like, this is where like the sun's gonna go down just a little too early for me. The weather's gonna be just a little too chilly for me, and I'm just gonna be miserable again until like April, somewhere whenever we set the clocks back. I hate it. Like I think like the seasonal depression comes out in me right around this time of year, and I can't stand daylight saving. I don't think it's the stupidest idea. Like, why are we even setting the clocks back? I don't want to hear any bullshit about the kids having daylight to get to school. Nobody walks to school anymore. Okay, this isn't the 1980s. Every kid. I don't care if you live 5 minutes from your school, or if you live 50 minutes from your school. The school bus still picks you up. Like, no kid has to walk to school.
Not in Mount Lebanon.
No, yes, they've been in Mount Lebanon.
No, Mount Lebanon, they walk to school.
They don't go to school now?
They walk to school.
Bullshit.
I guarantee.
Oh, no, you know what? You're right, because everybody in Mount Lebanon walks everywhere. That's the most walkingest area I've ever seen in my entire life, because we have to drive through that a lot for work. We go through there, and, like, doesn't matter what time of day you come through, doesn't matter how cold the weather is, there's always, like, old, rich, white women jogging, and there's always kids walking to school. Like, it's just the definitive of that area. Like, there's always, like, nobody there must own a car or a bicycle or whatever. There's always running, walking, jogging. I want to open up a tennis shoe shop in Mount Lebanon. I would make $1 bajillion.
So I found out from one of my podcasts that actually one of the guys who tried to create daylight savings time was some psychopath in Australia who use that as a coaster. I don't care, but don't use that.
Don't use this as a coaster?
That's going to be for my CNC machine.
Okay. So what am I allowed to use as a coaster?
Use a CD.
I'm allowed to use a CD as a coaster? Wait, because we're not doing video on this episode.
No.
So just so the audience knows what level of insane Joel is, there's a small wooden block with little nicks and dings on it, and then there's a CD, like a legitimate CD. It's a DVD-R on the table. And the one that I'm allowed to use as the coaster is the DVD,
yep.
not the small wood block. I don't even need a coaster. I just think that's hilarious that those are my two options, and out of the two, don't use those small wooden chunk of garbage, because that's important for you.
Because that's going to go in the machine. I'm going to cut it up, and it's going to make a design.
Is your CNC machine working again?
I got a small one to practice on before I get the big one working.
Nice.
Because I got to figure out how to actually make it work now.
Well, we got to get a big one going, and I'm willing to contribute. Into
No,
this.
I have the big one.
I know, but we need to get it working.
Yeah, well, that's why I got that one first.
Because that's my record clocks.
Yeah, because I realized I didn't know what I was doing. I got the parts put together. I didn't know how to make one work. So I had the parts put it all together. I'm like, now what?
You can't YouTube and learn that? Is that not something?
You can, but at the time, I had no clue to even look for.
Okay.
So, but anyway, as I was saying with daylight savings time, this guy in Australia was upset because as winter came, he couldn't collect bugs after work as easily.
What? Are you telling me that I have to get up an hour early because some knucklehead in Australia wanted to chase lightning bugs?
Pretty much.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Look it up.
I believe it. I just think that it's a bunch of bullshit.
I'll send you a podcast I heard it on.
You know, Australians are the worst.
Because there is a podcast they talk about daylight savings time.
Here's the thing about Australia. First of all, I hate all of them. And yet, I love...
All of them?
All of them.
Maggie.
Margot Robbie?
Yes.
Because I already knew where you were going. Margot Robbie, Hugh Jackman, Thor, all
people Joe wants to sleep with.
They're all They are the most beautiful people on the planet. Australia and Switzerland. Switzerland's another one too. Where like this, everybody. It's just like it's a beauty factory. Like they just pump out the most gorgeous people. I don't think I've ever seen an Australian that was not an attractive Australian.
Oh,
like, at least that I even respect as like Hugh Jackman. He's not on my Celebrity 5 list for sure.
Are you sure?
I'm certain of it.
But your idol is Deadpool, and Deadpool loves Wolverine, and Wolverine loves Hugh Jackman. Therefore, you love Hugh Jackman.
But Deadpool's Canadian, and that's totally different. There are ugly Canadians, and that's why I respect Deadpool.
Because he loves Wolverine, who was Hugh Jackman, you must love Hugh Jackman.
No. And here's the thing, too. Growing up, like, I grew up in the X-Men generation, and Wolverine was never one of my favorites. And whenever, I remember, it was like 1996 or whatever it was, whenever the first X-Men movie came out, and Hugh Jackman was cast as, hey, Google, What year was the first X-Men movie released?
I want to say it's 2000.
No, it was 90 something. How much you want to bet?
Want to bet $1?
I'll bet you $1. All right.
Okay.
Are we going who's closest? I'm going to say 96. You're saying 2000. Whoever's closest. Please don't be 98. I'm going to go 97 just because I feel like that way I'll win either way.
Oh, I'll get you Wi-Fi.
It's definitely pre-2000. I'm guaranteeing it. But yeah, and I remember them casting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and me going, that is the worst decision. Like, I was never a Wolverine fan. I was always a big Gambit fan. Gambit's my absolute favorite comic book character, probably of all time. Maybe more than Deadpool. Gambit, Deadpool, and Spider-Man have always been like my top-notch characters. Those are always the ones that I've always been like just super infatuated with. Gambit more than anyone. But Spider-Man was one of those characters I always really loved. Spider-Man. I always thought that the character was really amazing, but I never really read too many of the comic books. I never really got into the whole Spider-Man comic book. Like, I understood the character. I knew a lot of what he dealt with. I knew him as a character, but I never read a ton of it. No.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Son of a bitch.
Joe owes me $1. Joe owes me $1.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, no, that's X-Men. I can't step out of that one. I could have swore it was earlier. I thought I skipped school to go see that movie. I thought I was pretty sure.
No, you dropped out of college to see that movie.
No, yeah, that's what it was. That's why. Otherwise, I would have finished my education and developed a much higher sense of higher learning.
You did a better job. I got my 6-year degree, and guess what I got?
Yeah, we're doing the same podcast.
Yeah.
No, damn it. I could have swore. I mean, we skipped school a lot to go see movies back in high school, but I could have swore X-Men was one of them. But that's, okay, so like in the 90s, early to late night, whatever, it was very popular for the X-Men cartoon series, and that's what kickstarted a lot of it for me.
Oh yeah, the X-Men cartoon series was the bomb.
It was awesome. It really didn't like stick amazingly well to the comic books, but it was a really great show. And pre-2000, apparently, Wolverine was like 5'6", this bulky little ball of muscle. What are you doing?
Just keep talking.
Okay. So like when Hugh Jackman came on the scene, and he's like 6'3", and he's lean, and he's kind of like got this GQ look about him. He's everything that Wolverine was not, because now, if you think of Wolverine, you think of Hugh Jackman. Like, Hugh Jackman he's kind of changed the character entirely. And I think if they ever like
how so?
Because it's a totally different person. Like, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine versus the comic book Wolverine are totally different people. Well, the original Wolverine, I don't know. In the comic book now, they probably most likely have changed him a bit. That's our theme music. I can't see from here, but that's yeah. Look, there's Wolverine, Rogue. I think we already missed Gambit. No, Storm, Beast, and I always thought here too. This is another one. There's Gambit. There's my boy. I saw somebody dressed as Gambit for Halloween.
Nice.
I like Jubilee. Jean Grey, Professor Xavier, obviously. And this is what bugged me about the movie. When they first came out with the X-Men movie, it was a Wolverine movie. All the X-Men has now become synonymous with Wolverine, and Wolverine wasn't one of the original characters, and that bugs the shit out of me. I really thought what they should have done was made a movie about Cyclops. I was diehard for it. I know that Cyclops is a lot of people's not favorite character, but if you follow his storyline and all the stuff that he's gone through and everything, like, he's an intensely amazing character, and he's got a really great story. I don't understand why he's not more appreciated than what he is, and I think that had they made the movie about Cyclops, he'd be a more popular character.
Asshole.
But that's what I like about him. He's not a complete asshole.
He's a complete asshole.
No. Ant-Man is an asshole, and he's got his own movie.
If you brought in...
Ant-Man has a movie and Cyclops doesn't. Gambit still has not got a movie, and Ant-Man has two movies.
If Cyclops was a steak, you don't even need A1 on him, because he's already done. He's an asshole.
Okay, yes, he was an asshole, but he's an asshole in like that way where he's entertaining and it's a great storyline. And I think there's a couple characters in comic books that I always stand by that I think are better characters than they are given credit for. Cyclops is definitely one of them, and Cyclops is probably the biggest one because people not just don't like Cyclops, they actually hate Cyclops.
Yes, I hate Cyclops.
And that kills me. I don't understand how anyone could hate Cyclops, because I think he's just a great character, and I think the story that he has.
He's like the Peter Parker. He's a whiny bitch.
No,
He follows the
he's
rules.
Not he's not. No, because really, if you look at some of the story, and I read something not too long ago where somebody in it, it blew my mind, because as often as I've followed X-Men as in depth as I was, more so, back in the 90s and stuff, it never caught my attention, but somebody pointed out that they think that Cyclops is not like a Dexter sociopath, but he's like a sociopath. Like, he's just incapable of what's the thing? It's Asperger's. They said that they believe that Cyclops may have Asperger's, and if you look at he obviously can't make eye contact, so you can't. Okay, so follow me through this. It's he can't make eye contact, but that's the tip of the iceberg.
Because he'll kill you.
Then maybe he is a sociopath too. But they look at they broke it down to his relationship with Jean Grey, and how he's kind of been a little distant with everybody, but Jean Grey's the only one he really connected with, and
because she can read his mind. That's probably the only reason.
Right. But maybe she's got some issues where some girls just like assholes.
She's got a lot of issues. She's Dark Phoenix.
Jean Grey apparently likes assholes, and he's the most unattached character in comics. And when they started pointing out all these things, I'm like, holy shit, it changed how I look at Cyclops entirely. He's a whole different person. He clearly he's a bit of a distant, unrelatable asshole, but I still love him. Something about Cyclops I think is an amazing character, and he's one of those characters that I'm diehard for.
Cyclops is such an asshole that even in the movies, the guy who played him was an asshole.
Don't you dare attack James Marsden.
So, because he's such an asshole, you ever notice how in X-Men 1, 2, and 3, he gets less and less in the movies? Because he pissed off the directors. Because the character's so much of an asshole, he brought it out of the guy.
I love James Marsden too, though. I think he's a great actor.
No, I'm not saying he's not.
He looked just like
I'm not saying he's not a good actor. I'm saying, unfortunately, he got into so much into being an asshole of the character that he pissed off the director. See, and that's why he didn't as much
he's not in the X-Men movies
as
they go on. Well, I think also part of that was they tried to wean him out to kind of move along the Dark Phoenix storyline, because I think at one point in time they had intended to bring that a little further through.
They're doing it next.
Are they really? Well, this was something that was supposed to happen forever and ever ago.
With the newer X-Men...
I don't think X-Men movies are going to do any good moving forward. I don't think you can watch another X-Men movie. One, you got Hugh Jackman stepped out of the part of Wolverine. Nobody at this point in time...
Well, we don't need a Wolverine anymore. We've got how many X-Men?
I know, but here's what I'm saying is now... Hugh Jackman has become synonymous with X-Men. You go X-Men and people go, oh, Wolverine. You don't realize how many other characters there are. Storm, Cyclops.
This guy does.
Okay, and Archangel was kind of weaned out, Beast and everything. So a lot of the characters that were and are X-Men, plus X-Men's one of those things that so many people, characters have been in the X-Men that you can interchange and bounce around. You have a lot of option to make pretty much anybody an X-Men at this point, especially in the Marvel universe, which is separate than the comic books. And I'm not going to nerd all out on this one. We'll do that next time we have Andy on the show. I can't see an X-Men movie doing well, because I think at this point they've played it so thin, and everybody expects now, if you have an X-Men movie, they're expecting Wolverine. And if you don't have Wolverine, you can't recast it. You can't do that. And
you don't need to. There's so many stories that does not involve Wolverine.
Nobody wants to watch a non-Wolverine. You and I do, and some the big deep dish nerds do. But whenever you get into the mainstream public, which that's
I don't care about the mainstream public. The mainstream public wanted Twilight. The mainstream public wanted 50 Shades of Grey. I don't care about the mainstream public.
Whoa! Don't badmouth 50 Shades of Grey. It's my favorite book to masturbate to.
I've watched the entire trilogy with my wife.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Oh, how
in the theater.
I haven't seen not one.
In the theater.
That's that girl is someone. She's related to somebody.
Yeah.
Who is she? She's somebody's daughter or something.
She's everyone's someone's daughter.
No, but she's somebody's famous daughter.
Yeah.
And she's
well,
I
remember. I think it was the first movie or the second movie. There's these older women.
How sexy are the movies? Just out of curiosity.
They're not sexy.
No.
They're bad softcore.
I believe that, and to the best of my memory, because I didn't read the books, and I didn't.
I actually listened to the audiobook of the first one for 75% of the book.
So from what I gather, from what I hear, from what I've just kind of accumulated knowledge-wise, the first book it's a lady boner. It
Yeah.
pretty much is just like that's sploosh, right? That it'll make a woman's panties wet enough to drown a toddler. But when you get in like the second and third book, it becomes a little more storyline, a little more depth, and it loses a lot of that sexiness. From what I gather, like there's still sexiness in it. But
Spoiler
it's not.
alert: she gets pregnant in the third one,
Joel, I haven't read the books yet. I have no intentions of reading the books.
and he becomes a father. And in the movie, they have 2 children,
He has 2?
and he's no longer a 6th grade psychopath
Oh, that's
because
sad, I guess.
she taught him that he can love something other than just her.
It feels like, okay. So to relate that to comic books, it feels like he lost his superpower because I feel like his superpower was basically
sex addiction.
being a sex lunatic.
Uh-huh.
Which I mean, if you have to have a superpower, I think killer boner is what you're looking out for. Oh, that was noisy.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I want to lean back.
Yeah. So okay. So I think that nobody's gonna watch an X-Men movie without Wolverine. You cannot recast. That's like a Joker. You cannot. First, okay, and I had this discussion not too long ago with a friend of mine, where Heath Ledger, hands down, the best Joker of all time. No question
I
about
like
it.
Jack Nicholson better.
Okay, the Jack Nicholson was a great Joker, but Jack Nicholson was a very different Joker. That was like, you go back to when that movie was made, like Michael Keaton, best Batman of all time.
Yep, 89, 92.
And I still stand by the fact that I think that Ben Affleck would have been the best Batman had he committed to that character. He did not. He is not the best Batman. I just want to get all that sentence out before anybody calls me out on it.
Ben Affleck would have been the best Batman if he was dead and never Batman.
No, Ben Affleck I think would have been a great Batman, but he was given a terrible script. He was given garbage to work with in the first place, and then he lost all ambition to do it. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of that had to do with the fact that Kevin Smith, anytime a comic book movie is made, they consult Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith and Ben Affleck are very tight friends, and he said, who's going to be the best Batman ever? Well, obviously Ben Affleck will be the best Batman ever. They cast him as the part. They gave him such a terrible script, contracted him into multiple movies that he just does not want to do, and he's just fighting it. When the Justice League movie, Ben Affleck, I think, put on weight intentionally to go kind of like F you to the movie because it was that shitty of a script. I believe that Ben Affleck is trying to get himself out of that contract. Christian Bale was a decent Batman. He was a terrible Bruce Wayne. So Michael Keaton still hands down best Batman, best Bruce Wayne, without question. Jack Nicholson. Nicholas. Which one's the Joker? Which one of them is an actor and one of them's a golfer? Okay. Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was a great Joker, like an amazing Joker, but he was a different version of the Joker. He was more of like that campy, cartoony version of it, something similar to sort of how like how the cartoons have played the Joker to be a little bit. But I think that Heath Ledger played the best Joker yet. I think the way that he did the character made it real for me. It made it an actual person. I really think the Nolan brothers did an awesome job with that, and I love Heath Ledger as the Joker. And then they came out with the Suicide Squad. Now, as sexy as Margot Robbie is, and as well as she played Harley Quinn, she was amazing. She reinvented Harley Quinn for me. But Jared Leto as the Joker was the worst. Any person who's ever read a comic book, any person who likes any version of DC or has ever seen has any idea of who the Joker is, hates that version. The only people that like that version of the Joker are like the younger crowd. It's a very new, like they're trying to reinvent the Joker, and they changed him so drastically that they made a whole new character. They should have not called it the Joker. They should have given it would be a great character if
Son of the Joker.
It was somebody. Yes, exactly. Like if it was like kind of like how Superman, Batman has done like they sort of changed who Lex Luthor was, and there was a lot of speculation as to it's not the real Lex Luthor. It's kind of like the son of Lex Luthor kind of thing. I think they done something like that, but they kind of wanted to go like this whole DC 52, which for the non-nerdy people, that's a different version of all of the DC characters: Batman, Superman, Joker, etc., etc., etc. And I think that's sort of where they were going with the whole. I think that is definitely where they were going with this version of the Joker. It's a garbage version of the Joker. It's not the Joker. It might be a great character, but it's a terrible version of the Joker. And I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and she said how she thinks like that version of the Joker is like the sexy version. there's not supposed to be a sexy version of the Joker. That's just not a thing. There's no way that the Joker comes across as sexy. That's not. I mean, that's just a little too spank me daddy. You know. So no, I'm against that whole thing. That's I don't like the Joker. I don't want him to be any type of.
What if it was a her?
Well, had the Joker been a woman? There's actually a version of the story. There's I can't remember which comic book it is where like they changed. I can't remember. Oh shit! It's gonna drive me nuts. Where there's a female version of the Joker, and oh no wait what is it? We got a little cosplay thing going on over here where there's the chick versions of the Joker. I like all of those. There's none of those bad.
But would you sleep with her?
No, not that one. Definitely not. The audience is missing out on this because you showed me pictures of cosplay Joker. That's female Joker and Harley Quinn, and I'm not saying no to that. I mean, collectively, like, as in the all of us. That's not bad. I like that. I think it's cool. Not sexy though. Just because you put boobs on something doesn't make it inherently sexy.
That's true.
So, yes, that's probably a very attractive woman underneath all of that ridiculous, scary-ass makeup.
For the audio listeners, so I'm being lazy because I don't feel like switching.
Yeah, audio listeners. That's all we have is audio listeners. We're not doing video. You guys aren't getting jack shit. You can. Yeah. Are they staring at a picture of us from PodCon?
Yep.
That's all you get. But
I want to reinvent the audio and then move back in the video. I want to apologize to our listeners who had listened to all that noise in the background of the last few episodes.
Yeah, we had well, okay, so let's go back and talk about that a little bit because we want to
got
time here.
13 seconds for this episode.
Are you kidding me? We're done already?
Yeah.
Play me some outro music, Joel. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us this week here on Stream of Consciousness Podcast. Thank you for toughing through the past couple weeks. We had our PodCon interviews and such, which we had a great time there and had a lot that we would like to talk about. Things went really well there. It was very smooth. We had so much fun, but the audio was a little rough, and we appreciate our diehard listeners who toughed it through that.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dwayne.
Hopefully, we'll get some more some episodes coming out shortly here that are definitely going to have some more episodes that are going to be a lot more tolerable. So that's I think that's pretty much it. I feel like we didn't cover as much as I wanted to, Joel.
We got a few more episodes though.
Join us next week, and we're going to talk about more stuff. We love you all. And disco.